you can't eat very much. It sounds to me like you're very, very much restricting your calories because you are very afraid to go back to where you've been. But also we do need food to be able to focus and study and for energy, and we don't want to live in fear either. So we just need to, that's very interesting. We'll have to, at some point, maybe you and I can just have a one-on-one so that we can help your rhythm, because your rhythm sounds like you're going a long, long time without eating. And then just a salad, and that's not a lot of calories.
Sometimes I got some protein some days, but so that could be extreme. This is why I just like to share my story with you. Maybe it could be helpful, or maybe I can get some help from an experienced person like you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Hi, Diane. Did the cable man finally come?
Oh, no. He's just texting me, telling me he's on the way. And then I told him, gave him not a piece of my mind, but I said, I waited all day on Wednesday, and the guy showed up after dark, so we couldn't do it. And then he rescheduled, and he told me Saturday, and I'll be there first thing, 8 o'clock. I got up at 6:30. I'm waiting for this guy to come. 8 went, 9 went. Then I called the company, and they said, "Well, I'll call you back. I'll call them and call you back." They never called me back. And this guy says he'll be there 11:45 again. And I said, last time I was last too, and it was too dark to put it in. You told me, I said, you might not be the guy that I, had before, but I was supposed to be first because I have a class. He goes, I'm not the guy from Wednesday.
Or it's always someone else's fault.
Yes. Well, so Diane she was doing a metabolic diet, metabolic research through the end of August, correct? And then she was coming to the class to learn so that when she was done with this program, how she can, make sense of all this. And so how have the last 2 weeks been for you?
Well, I've been sick, so right. I've had nothing. It went from one thing to another. It's almost, I think it's gone. It's almost gone away. my head is all stuffed up. So I've been doing okay.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
So have you been able to do your eating rhythm, like making sure you're not skipping meals?
I was trying to, but really the first week, I was really sick, and this week I've just been falling asleep all the time. I can't even read. I was falling asleep.
Okay.
So
All right.
when you're sick, it makes it hard to find.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and all I was doing is coughing. Yeah.
Okay, I would like for you all to take out your journals at this time, and let's see. I don't know if I have an extra notebook. Can anyone loan, is it Jabril?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Can anyone loan Jabril a piece of paper so that he can, oh, you have paper? Oh, he's prepared. So, did anyone do their personal pleasure inventory? In my mind. Okay, we're going to only take a minute or two, and if you've already done this, that's okay. You can add to what you've done before, or because then we can share together some of our ideas. So the first thing I want you to do in your journal is your personal pleasure inventory. Write down anything that gives you pleasure other than food. And I will give you some ideas. This could be people that you enjoy spending time with. This could be people that you enjoy talking on the phone with. This could be, let's also talk about places, your favorite vacation spot.
You can't do that twice a day.
Okay. And how about places locally here in Colorado Springs that you can go to? And how about places in your home that bring you pleasure? Do you have a favorite room? Maybe you want to talk about your favorite piece of furniture that you like to sit in or have a nap. Let's talk about pets, spending time with pets, going for a walk with your dog, or cuddling your cat, or watching something out your window, maybe squirrels or birds, anything like that. What about books? What are your favorite books, types of books, authors? What about your favorite fragrances? Is there anything that, any perfumes or essential oils or something that you cook?
It's just like grounding, technically. Like, I don't know if you know what grounding is, but it's like taking that moment that if you get so frazzled, so busy that you have orientation troubles, that like for instance, like the smell, they say like if you need help grounding yourself on the present, on the now, using like a rag with your favorite essential oil or something to smell it, that way you know that you are, instead of being so busy, you get to stop and actually, I am here, like, in, anyway, it's called grounding. So
makes sense. Makes absolute sense to me. Yeah. So this is, so we're making this list so that when we are feeling like we need to do something nice for ourselves, we can reach for some of these things instead of always having to reach for food for pleasure. So this could be exactly what you just said. If that brings you into a calm state, smelling this essential oil, then that's great. It'll make you feel good without always feeling like you have to go grab a candy bar. Okay, so what other things bring you pleasure? Anything else come up as far as like clothing or any type of exercise that brings you pleasure, like swimming or dancing or yoga, meditation? Write any of those down. Anything that you enjoy buying for yourself that brings you pleasure, maybe flowers, if that works, or anything else that you enjoy shopping for that might bring you pleasure, clothing, earrings. What about taking a bath? What about listening to music? Does anything strike a chord there that brings you pleasure? What type of music? Artists? Anything come up? Okay, we're going to share. Each one of you can go ahead and share one of the things that you wrote down, something other than food that you can do to make you feel good during the week. Diane, what did you come up with?
One of my favorite things is going out on my deck, sitting in my swing in the evening and watching the hummingbirds and
I was going to say
squirrels.
We can have the same one.
I'm saying, sit there and
You're a mother daughter, so it's
and my flowers,
I love it. Aletha, what's one thing that came up for you?
Like looking at old photos of cool stuff, like cool trips I went on, or pictures with friends. And also, sometimes I forget to do this, but I always think it's a good idea. I save cards that are super nice from people who care about me. And if you're feeling a little bummed, you can read through those. Oh, that's a good.
Sweet. Okay, Kathy, what'd you come up with?
Well, words with friends with Aletha. I've become addicted. Anyway, and also the smell of lemon verbena. I have I bought Mrs. Meyer's soap. And have you heard of that brand?
I have.
Yes. And that just makes me feel very happy for some reason.
I love it. Lynn?
I put down friends, garden, kitty cuddles, water aerobics, aqua yoga, family movies, naps.
Okay. Darlene?
I'm still trying to actually I've been so busy and we're hardly ever home. I've never taken time to actually consider where I like to sit or be in my home, which I'm sure sounds weird. But I normally like sitting on a rock. There's a rock near my house that I like to sit on and overlook the city.
Oh,
Cool. And then when it's not cold outside, I like walking barefoot in the grass.
yeah.
I love those. So can you try to do those two activities a little more often for yourself?
Well, I'm trying to make the sitting on a rock over the city. I'm trying to do that every morning. It's just because we have a bear in our neighborhood. I don't like going before sunrise.
No, don't do that.
So
be careful with that one.
yeah, but the thing is, by the time sunrise happens, is when all of a sudden, zoom, we're out the door, and so it's like I might have to do it before sun.
Okay. All right. Okay, how about Jabril? I see, I remembered it and then I got to write it down. Okay, Jabril, what'd you come up with?
Yeah, I like, socializing, social networks and that whole stuff. But I think one thing that helped me was try to learn a musical instrument.
Yeah.
So because it took a long time, and if you like it, you're gonna try to play it and just forget about it. So this is something. When I traveled back to the United States, I got my musical instrument with me. I went through a lot of trouble to get it here and there because it was kind of strange. It's similar to guitar, but it's different. It's a little bit different, and it arrived a week after me.
Wow. Must have been very dangerous looking.
No, it's really fragile, so
okay, gotcha.
yeah. And I believe if you like a musical instrument, if you like one and you really want to play it, you can just spend like hours on it without noticing. You will forget about it.
And then you just, it elevates your mood, doesn't it? Like, so either listening to music or playing an instrument, music tends to elevate the mood.
Yeah, I'm not a good player, just to let you know. I don't know how to play it. I'm just starting, but it's something I like to do. Even I make a lot of noise around me, and I just like to do that instead of eating.
I am just learning to play the saxophone.
Nice.
So when I was in high school, I played the trumpet and I actually got pretty good at it. But then when I graduated from high school, I never touched the trumpet again. Well, now my daughter, she's starting 7th grade, which is the year that they typically start with band. And I found this group. She does a different program where she's only going to school 2 full days. So she has Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Anyways, I found this homeschool band group. And she wanted to learn to play the French horn, and the parent can play for free. I mean, if you're paying for your child, the adult can join. And so, and I didn't have to choose the same instrument as my daughter. And I wanted to do something different because I already knew how to play a brass instrument, and I always wanted to learn how to play the saxophone. So her and I, we've got our little band, we play and practice, and it's wonderful. She's happy, I'm happy. Yes, it's a great source of pleasure. And so I get it. I totally get it. Love it.
Kind of the same thing happened to me. I played flute when I was in high school, and then I never played it again. And I've been wanting to do that again. But I had a flute, and I mailed it off to my sister at one point because her son wanted to learn how to play. And then recently I asked my sister to send it back, and she said, "No, I already did." And I'm like, "No."
Oh no!
You didn't, and she doesn't know where it is, and I don't know where it is, so it's gone. But,
Lost.
so I have to figure that out. But one of these days I want to start playing flute again.
Maybe there'd be one on Craigslist.
Yeah,
that you could
I
find?
wanted a free one, but
I know. I know how that is.
I mean, I already had it. It was like, I don't know what happened to them.
Instruments can be crazy expensive.
Yeah, they can be really expensive, so, but it just be nice if we could figure out what happened to it. My sister insists that she doesn't have it, but I'm like,
And she could have mailed it and it could have just not, made it.
yeah, but
Especially if it was
I don't
post
think she
office.
mailed it.
Yeah, okay. You know her better than I do.
I imagine that.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more lists. The next journaling activity, I want you to make a list of foods, and we've already kind of done this, so we're going to make this quick. Make a list of foods that you enjoy and have the added benefit of being healthy, as best as far as you know, right? I mean, there's a lot of controversy over, is meat healthy or unhealthy, okay. So just let go of all that and write down things you enjoy that are also have the added benefit of being healthy, as far as you know, when you listen to your own body wisdom.
Did you send me the previous week's?
I know that I handed you one,
Some of the
but I
stuff
can
is in
send it
your-
again.
In your summary. that
Yeah,
you did, Yeah.
it's pretty
And I
much.
listened to it this morning. But yeah, so I noticed that some of it was in there. There were some interesting things in there about the other book. I have to listen to it again, and I would like to read that other book.
I'll let you know. It's called Intuitive Eating, the Intuitive Eating Workbook. And I can send you the author just to make sure that, yeah, that's an interesting book too. Okay, so this list that you're writing down right now, this should be primarily what you're eating each day. Does that make sense? This list that you're creating right now, foods that you enjoy and have the added benefit of what you believe to be healthy. This should be kind of the focus of what you're spending, what you're eating on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to do another list. This list says make a list of all forbidden foods, which means foods that you love but you believe they're not healthy for you. Okay. Jot a few things down. Foods that you love but you believe are not healthy for you. Okay, so this list that you're creating is foods, a list of foods that I want you to allow yourself from time to time, put them in your plan so that you're not saying, I can't have that. Because it takes the fun out of it if your brain says, I can have that if I want to. Has anyone noticed that when you allow yourself, after a couple of times, your brain says, well, I know I can have ice cream, or I know I can have it, but it takes the fun out of it a little bit to where you don't notice yourself overeating or binge eating on it like you would if you were telling yourself, I can't have that, I can't have that. And then you just then you really want it. Like, for example, if you say, I'm going on a diet today, and so I can't have that ice cream in my freezer. And what do you spend your whole day thinking about? That ice cream in your freezer that you just told yourself you can't have. Yes? So it's giving yourself permission to, can you have it twice a week? Do you want a little bit every day? Like Lynn is doing a little bit every day. But just, we're working on just allowing some of these forbidden foods as well, so that we don't get caught up in being so restrictive. And then that causes us to overeat or binge eat on them. And it should balance it out. It may take a little time. So does anyone want to share, because we've talked about this before, but that should give you a pretty good idea of the foods that you enjoy that are healthy for you. You're eating that most of the time, but it's okay to add these forbidden foods, especially if you can add in an organic version or a healthy version of these foods. Try to do that if you can, but there are some foods like a Snickers. I really don't know of a replacement for a Snickers, like if that's your thing. I've been in many health food stores. I've never seen a replacement for a Snickers. So
I'm working on it. I am working on a healthy version of Snickers.
You are?
Just saying. Because I am sick and tired of having to say no. So I'm working on a healthy version of a Snickers.
But if you go into natural grocers, I mean, they have a whole aisle of candy bar type things.
They do. They have, but it's still to me different than a
Well, those would
Snickers.
be a
But-
replacement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like a Lara bar.
Yes, like a Lara bar.
Yeah.
So has anyone over the last, since this class, does this make sense? Anyone want to share on any personal experience in relation to eating foods that you enjoy, and anything else coming up that you haven't shared already?
Well, the ice cream was my favorite. I mentioned before I like this black walnut ice cream, but it's not a very healthy version. So anyway, when I was doing the peach cobbler, it's actually not a peach cobbler. The recipe calls it a peach cobbler, but it's what you call a dump cake. Ever heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
You just take a cake mix and dump it on top of the peaches and butter. So anyway, so it's really good with ice cream. So I bought organic vanilla ice cream.
Good for you. So you elevated your ice cream to an organic version. And you know what helps you eat less? Because it's so much more expensive that you're not going to eat. You're going to, when you look at the price and it's $6 for something this big, you can go to the store and get something twice that big for half the price. But when it's a higher quality and it's pretty pricey, you tend, I don't know, it just seems to.
I just use one scoop and that's it.
Yes.
That's what I do with my ice cream is I have to eat the non-dairy, so I'm stuck with this little one, and I used to finish it in one thing.
Right.
So what I do now is I get the gluten-free cones so that I can actually portion it out, and then I end up eating 2 cones, but at least there's ice cream left over.
Hey, there's ice cream left over. That's good. That's progress, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the highlights for chapter 6, the textbook highlights, the metabolic power of thought. And short, but I'll email it to you. Okay. It says, what you think and feel about food is as important a determinant of its nutritional value and its effect on body weight as the actual nutrients themselves. The metabolic value of any food is profoundly influenced by factors that come from the eater: relaxation, quality, awareness, pleasure, etc. So what this means is when you have negative thoughts about food, if you think that food is going to make you fat and you're afraid to eat it, it will release hormones, again, this fight or flight. If you are very anxious as you're eating, your digestion is decreasing because it is in this state of fight or flight. So when possible, we need to relax around our food and have good thoughts about our food so that we have a healthy metabolism. So it says, consider this. If each of us here sitting today consumed 2 slices of pizza, we would not metabolize it in the same way because our thoughts may be different. Like if my daughter was sitting here and she had 2 pieces of pizza, she would eat it with enjoyment and awareness, and just she would eat it pretty slowly and just relish in this pizza. And I have to admit, pizza is one of my fear foods. I don't have that many, but there's something about pizza that it seems to be, my body will put on weight. So if I was sitting here eating a couple pieces of pizza, I know that I would be stressed eating it. And maybe just that stress alone and the belief that it's going to make me fat could make me fat, because it's going to lock in the problems with my digestion, and it's not going to metabolize it as well. So as a matter of fact, there's only a couple of foods that I am kind of afraid of, and pizza is one of them for sure. I don't eat pizza. But maybe I need to practice this and eat with awareness, and stop the negative chatter that pizza is going to make me fat, and all those interesting thoughts that we have. I think the problem lies when almost everything you're eating quickly because you don't want to think about it, because this food makes me fat. And
I was having somebody in New York City running down the street eating pizza folded in half, and I mean, that's what, to me, pizza, I love pizza, and I eat pizza, but nowadays, I usually eat pizza with mushrooms and spinach on it instead of the other stuff, which I like, but I love with mushrooms and spinach on it too, and I feel like I'm getting more nutrition that way, so.
And then that probably makes you a more relaxed, you're thinking, I'm eating something good for me. This is good for me. And so you're getting that healthy digestion. Yes. The next bullet point from this chapter says, the sum total of our innermost thoughts and feelings about what we eat is called our relationship with food. So that's a very interesting question. And we won't go around and say this, but what would be your answer? You can just kind of think in your mind, what would be your answer if someone asked you what your relationship with food was like? That's an interesting question, isn't it?
Codependent.
Number one comfort.
Yeah. Yes. So what we are doing in this group is working on our relationship with food, trying to, when we eat with awareness, we enjoy it. But then when we're done with our meal, we move on. We're no longer thinking about food. We are doing what else we're supposed to be doing in the world. Are we supposed to be, how are we supposed to be in service to each other or nourishing each other as human beings? Some of us are, we spend so much time worried about food all the time, even when we're not eating. So the idea is that when we eat, we're enjoying it, we're finding pleasure from it. And then when it's time to move on to the next task, like studying for an exam, you're not thinking about food. Like, oh, what's in my fridge? What am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to cook tonight? I mean, don't we obsess? Our thoughts can continuously always be concentrated on food, but instead we can be thinking of what I'm going to learn today. Or if you're with your children, you're spending time with your children, having fun at the park, not thinking about, oh, did I eat too much? Oh, I think I ate too much. I should have ate 3 less bites of that. Or you know how we can just, it can consume our thoughts.
Difficult thing though, because I need to plan what I'm going to eat, or else I just grab whatever's available. So if I don't think about it ahead of time, then I end up with some bad choices.
Well, thinking about it in a constructive way as a plan is better than obsessing about it.
Yeah, I don't obsess, but you do have to spend time planning it out and thinking about it, because if you don't,
Yes, there is some planning that is involved, I would say, yes.
Absolutely make a bad choice. So.
But I know that I used to, between meals, think way too much about if I ate too much or shouldn't have eaten this, or do you see the difference between kind of like planning versus obsessing about?
Yeah.
The next bullet point says there was an example on page 123 about ice cream, and this is just driving the point a little bit further. So if you're feeling guilty or feeling shame around food or eating a food, there's a negative input on your nervous system, which inhibits your thyroid hormone release So there's some hormonal things that take place here, which decrease your calorie burning efficiency and increase your fat deposition. So whereas the opposite, feeling delight around food, gives a positive input on the nervous system and promotes your thyroid hormone release, happy calorie burning efficiency, and revs up your metabolism.
So I have a question. I feel